all my people that do it for the love. I am a fighter. I fight off the dark side. Dig through the landslide to find your love. Oh yeah.
Hit record.
Okay.
And then we can start, because we've already talked once, and
We have.
this is not your first time on the show. And last time you were on, I actually had a few people reach out to me and thank me for having people that weren't from like the combat world come on. I've had like a few people, but for some reason your story seemed to stick with quite a few people. It's not, you didn't do the traditional thing of moving out of your parents' house at 15 and becoming an attorney, but not just an attorney, you're also a partner in your law firm, which is about as high as you can get, without owning the building, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so congratulations on that again. And we kind of tiptoed around your whole story, about you leaving your parents' house, you going through like abusive divorce and having kids and going through law school, and then the crazy part came to where you were arrested on like 6 charges, and had to go through all of that. And
yeah,
then we kind of ended where you graduated law school and now you're this big time attorney in Canada. The questions that I was getting from people as well as myself is, what's after that? That's a big thing, is, what does that even look like? I know for myself, since last time we talked, I've had ACL and meniscus surgery. So I get to walk around in this huge brace, which is very fun. If anybody hasn't done it, I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, so I did that, and now law school applications are going out, and all those insecurities of having to turn in the character and fitness papers of, like every time you've been pulled over, and my past isn't perfect, so having to turn those in it's been pretty daunting, to say the least. And so I guess let's just kind of start this off with let's take a step back and kind of go back to when you were an associate, and what that was like, having those insecurities kind of from your childhood bringing you into the professional world. And then I definitely want to get into this upcoming trip that you have where you're going to Cambodia, and you're basically traveling the world, and you're going to end up looking for silverbacks, you said?
Silverback gorillas in the rainforest.
Yeah, that's something we're definitely going to get to, because that's not something everybody gets the opportunity to do, and so I definitely want to hear about that. But yeah, so let's just take that step back and dive in. What is your first day like at this law firm? Or actually, let's take a step back.
Back up a bit further, because
process.
Well, you said something really interesting about pulling together your character statement, and because I went back to school later in life, 2 things happened. One, I had to write a personal statement as part of my application to get into law school. And when I did, I underwent a lot of the same feelings that you're facing into now, which is like, how do I basically bare my soul and tell all the terrible things that I've experienced and went through, and still convince you that I'm good enough to become a lawyer, right? Because we all think that, getting into law school is this sort of, great big achievement, and of, people with silver spoons in their mouths, and they're able to, they live in the better world, not our kind of world. And so when I did, I really tried to reflect back on the instances that I talked about, and found the lessons in there that made me a better person, that made me a stronger person, because I wanted to make sure that I gave the people who were ultimately going to be interviewing me the sense that, okay, fine, yes, she's had issues and difficulties, but this is what she's made herself because of them.
Sure.
right? So to try to just sort of to turn around and to sort of build the positive, which goes with who I'd been all along, which was, okay, I left home at 15, great. Now I'm back home. I didn't want to be a victim. So I needed to sort of rewrite how I saw what I went through in a way to make me not be looked on as someone who should be pitied. Oh, poor Stacey. She left home. Poor Stacey went through all this. She has
Right.
nothing. So that's how I dealt with the personal statement, because it's hard. You're giving your life story to people who are going to be judging you, right? To decide, are you worth into coming into our club or not?
Yeah.
So that was tough. But that was the way that I found to not make myself feel bad and sort of relive the negative side of all of that by looking at it for, what did I learn? How did I grow? And then the next step. And then at the end of it was just sort of saying, I may not have an undergraduate degree, like a lower college degree, or another, like a Bachelor of Arts degree, but I have life experience, and that life experience has, made me into, the type of person who wants to, fight for justice and represent other people who have been in similar circumstances. To
So
really,
in Canada, you're not required to have a bachelor's to apply?
not as a mature student.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yep.
like here,
Mm-hmm.
so I was applying today to a University of Houston, and
Okay.
I found out that Texas is the only state in our country, in the U.S., that has it's a program to where if you have grades or like a GPA that's been following you for longer than 10 years, you can essentially get that expunged and start
Nice.
completely over. It's the only state that does it,
Yeah.
but you have to be a resident of that state, and I'm not. I live in Michigan, to do that. But you also have to have the bachelor's degree associated with that. So
Right.
our country's a little, I don't know, it's more strict, or like it's just weird. Everything about this place is weird, let's be honest. I mean, you see the news. This place is falling
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
But
Very.
yeah. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. Other than it's just kind of like, it's weird to see how other countries operate.
Yeah.
And that you were given that opportunity without having that undergrad, because realistically, the undergrad has absolutely nothing to do with law school at all.
Nothing.
Like
Nothing.
I'm applying to law school with a nutrition degree, so
Okay.
it has nothing to do with law school at all.
That's
I
right.
just kind of wanted to put that out there for people that weren't like in the
Yeah.
law field or whatever, just to kind of get some sort of perspective. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So that's the thing. Going in, you have to be out of high school, like out of all school for 5 years in
okay,
order to be able to apply as a mature student. But what I think made a difference was that I was able to say, like the people who, need the lawyers, the people who can't afford the lawyers because we're so far priced out of anybody's real price range. Those are the people that I come from, right? I was always the underdog. I was always the fighter. And I just felt that by getting that across in my personal statement, and then being able to translate that into, so I understand, what a lot of the, the people who struggle for access to justice, or the people who, who struggle to be able to afford a lawyer. Well, I kind of understand them, and I come from them, and I have this level of compassion that other people who go to law school, especially people who come from, it's predominantly rich, upper class, white families who have no clue in the world what it's like to look for food, to not have a place to live, to, try to figure out, how am I going to make ends meet? How am I going to get a job? All of these things, let alone how am I going to hire a lawyer to help me because something bad has happened.
yeah,
So I really emphasize that a lot in my personal statement and in the interview that I had, because once I got past the first sort of stage, only for mature students were you brought in for an actual interview with two people from the admissions committee. at Osgood where I went to school. And that's where I was really able to say, no, yeah, I have a different life path. And I may not have an undergraduate degree per se, but I certainly have, a degree in life experience that I believe gave me a better understanding of the type of clients that I could serve the best.
Sure.
Right? Because it's all about thinking about like, who are you talking to? Who are you, these are people in good positions who are deciding whether or not you should be able to be a lawyer. And what is the purpose of being a lawyer if not access to justice? Right? Especially for people who are in poverty, who are marginalized, that type of people. So that's the approach I really took with them when I applied, was to really, really hammer home that whether or not I have an undergraduate degree, it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
And they accepted it. So, and then, so then I went through, I got into law school, and it's interesting because when you go back to school when I was 37 and everybody else was like 25 years younger than me, there wasn't a lot of us. There was a few, but not too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a good time.
Yeah, it's crazy there's so many parallels between us, because before I started writing my personal statement, you had actually sent me yours. And I read it and I was just like, shit, you're allowed to bring this stuff up? Like, I thought they were looking for the silver spoon crowd.
Yeah.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
I had never, like, out of all the personal statements you can find online, they're all bullshit.
They're all bullshit.
It's just coming from like kids that are just like, oh, I want to change the world and like I want to advance this, and like, no, that you don't.
No, you don't
actually want that. Yeah, you just
No.
want the title of an attorney, and you want to get in and make your parents happy.
That's right. You want to work in mergers and acquisitions and tax and business, and right. You want to work on Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make the money.
That's right.
And so in reading yours, that changed my entire perspective to where I believe I sent you my last one. And I took the same approach. It was almost a copy and paste from your formula.
Great.
And so hopefully it works.
But that's what makes you different, right? Think about how many applications they're going to see.
Yeah.
And then they're going to see yours, and they're tired of reading the same personal statement, right? I want to change the world. I've, charity and this and that, and my volunteer time. Whereas you're like, this is me.
Yeah.
Like, this is really me. And if you're really all about, the little guy in terms of what the law is supposed to be there for, then you're the perfect person to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And that's the message that you really want to get across.
Yeah. I started it off with talking about like what I could physically see and smell in the intake office of rehab as my grandmother's dropping me off, and I have like,
it was powerful,
like a bag of clothes that like as big as a shoebox. Like I had nothing. And so that's kind of the approach I took. And I've had a lot of insecurities and everything of having to turn all this stuff in. And I know it's not over. During our last interview, we had talked about how you still had like PTSD of like the fear of getting mail, saying, oh, we messed up, you can't be an attorney anymore, or wait, you actually missed a whole class, you got to go back and start all over. And so like I have a feeling that's gonna follow me for a very long time. So I guess my first official question, since we've kind of just been going along, is that interview process that you did to get into law school. How similar was that for your interview process to get your first job?
It was a bit different. So I had the interview at the law school, and they were asking me questions of they had my statement and they asked me questions about that. But then like, well, if you had your choice of any type of law, do you know what you'd want to do? Gosh, it was so long ago. We talked about that. We sort of talked a little bit about, I kept trying to bring up sort of my past experiences to reinforce what made me different.
Sure.
When I had my first job interview, so what happened was I finished my first year, and then I started sending out resumes because I needed to work. I couldn't take the summer off. So I applied to a law firm that did personal injury work. And I knew prior to getting into law school, right, I had been a legal secretary. I'd been a paralegal. I was a receptionist as well. And then I had my own paralegal business. And I started doing personal injury litigation then. So I knew that's the area I wanted to stay in. So when I applied to this personal injury firm, I didn't really get into a lot about my background with them. I didn't talk about any of that. It was just like, yep, first year law student. Yep, I went to law school late. Yes, I did. And I didn't get into any of that with them until much later, because I worked for them for the summer. Then I went back for second year. I kept working for them part-time. And so I stayed with them my entire law school career with the same firm.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I got accepted into law school, my past was, I left that for a while in the rearview mirror because it didn't matter at that point. I was already in. I'd done my first year. I'm just another law student, but someone who's a mature student.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring that up for quite some time.
All right.
Yeah. Even here, like where I am now, I have been here for 16 years, almost 17 years. And probably until recently, most of them didn't know my backstory.
Really?
Yep.
So you've lived a double life then?
Yeah, I kind of have, in a way. And it's funny because part of me is like, what will they think of me?
Yeah.
What will the partners think about me if they find out about this or that? And I'm past the point of caring now. I'm past the point of caring. Actually, it's what makes me different than all of the competition.
Yeah, I was actually gonna try to bring that up and to see if you felt like you had almost like a cheat code to life compared to like some of the other people that have had a little bit softer upbringing. But I also gotta offer some pushback because you said that you didn't really bring it up, but you are now doing public speaking engagements.
Yeah.
And you can't hide from the internet anymore,
No.
like now you're kind of out there, you're doing your thing. So what was that transition? What made you decide that, like I need to share my story and come on, my little show when we did last time? And since then you've had a YouTube, it's posted on YouTube.
Yep.
Like a little 5-6 minute like speech that you did, which was amazing. It was your entire
I came
story.
third.
Yeah.
I came third. I'm in the, okay, so I got ahead of your question. So I remember a long, long time ago when I was, sort of going through what I was going through, and just sort of one of the things that I sort of held out as my bright light at the end of the day was, I'm going to share my story because somebody out there needs to hear this. Somebody out there needs to understand that it's okay to not always be in the perfect place. But it's not the end of the world. And with the right mindset and the right supports, and like you can get through this. And to me, I think sort of the worst thing I could think of would be like, could you imagine living your entire life in a situation like you or I have lived with thinking there's no way out, without having someone there who can say to you, I hear you and I understand you, and that there is a way out if you're prepared to, it's not easy. You got to do the work. So I always kept thinking about that. And I don't know, it came up. A friend of mine is associated with the group just called Speaker Slam, and they were doing a speaking competition. They do 5 or 6 a year, groups of 10 people, and then the finals are in November. So you apply. I applied, and it was about, what did I talk about now? Oh, belonging. And that was a really interesting topic for me because I realized recently that I've spent my entire life looking to belong, right? I left home. Actually, even if I back it up even further, right? I found out I was adopted by my dad. when I was 14. And at least that's my first memory of it. So right away, I'm at that age where I'm like, well, this isn't my family anymore. Like, who's my family? Do I not belong to this group? Then I leave home, and I certainly don't belong to anybody at that point. Like, I am the only at that point. Then I come back to a family that has grown up without me, right? My sisters are now grown up. My parents have moved on. We all got back together. It's not that we stayed estranged, but for me, it was like, now I'm back here with this group of people, but I still don't feel like I belong because we're now 5 years later and they're all different people. And so I've constantly been searching for somewhere to belong, constantly. And I kind of, it's just all sort of, it's like the universe brought it all together for me right at the right time. So I've got this notion about getting out there and talking and sharing more about what I've been through and who I am, as opposed to hiding from it, as opposed to being embarrassed by it, by thinking that other people will judge me for being less than who I really am because of my past. When my past is what makes me who I am. So why should I hide? Why should I hide from this?
Yeah.
I should be proud of this, really. So this opportunity came up. So I was talking to a friend of mine. She goes, you got to do it. So I did. Because one of the things about me is that that's how I overcome my fears, is I full on go in. So I did. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I told my parents about it. I was very careful. Like, I didn't want to say anything that was insulting or hurtful towards them, because that wasn't really the purpose. The purpose was for me to say, you really belong when you just accept yourself for who you are, because you don't find your belonging from anybody else, from all these external places. You find it from just accepting you. So I decided to do it. I was really nervous, and I'd broken my wrist literally a week before. I just got the cast on that day, which made it even worse.
I remember seeing the video. It's like,
waving around. Yeah. And there were 10 people. There were 2 of us who were not professional inspirational speakers. One of the guys was a retired CNN war correspondent. So I thought I was really kind of not going to win. And I didn't go in expecting to win. I went into it just because I just wanted to face into that big fear that I was still carrying around with me, which is that people are going to judge me for everything I've been through and think that I'm not, I don't know, worthy of something.
Sure.
So I just did it. And surprisingly, I came third. Now I'm in the wild card, and the finals are in November. So I'll find out.
That's right at the end corner.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I really hope
it really was.
So if you go back to the finals, what do you share then?
I don't know. I will find out next week. Tuesday is the final one. So this Tuesday coming up the topic is empowerment. And they will announce the wild card race. They'll announce the topic for the finals. And then the wild card race, I think there's going to be like a week of a social media sort of ramp up. And then they'll make the decision as to what 2 out of 6 make it to the final.
All right.
Yeah.
I really hope you get it. I love your story, especially with my path of coming into trying to be an attorney, and like just the amount of parallels that there is. So anytime I can get a chance to be able to hear you speak, I'm going to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do you think this is something you said that, and then after this, we can get back into your career for a minute, but do you think that you could one day be one of like the professional speakers that travel around and, like have like coaching groups and, like basically like a mentor type thing to people? Because I feel like just my short time of knowing you, you're built for it. Like
thank you.
You just, you're already that person. I feel like you just gotta go do it. Is that something that you want to do, or you?
I would love to.
Really?
I would absolutely love to. Love to. One of the things when I think about that is, can I work with young lawyers? Can I work with young women lawyers who are coming into a world that is still very male dominated and help them develop the right mindset and belief about themselves so as not to lose that as they make their way through their careers?
So
It's
I
not
guess,
easy.
yeah, I can't imagine it is easy. But I do have to admit that I am a male.
Yes, you are.
Pretty obvious guy over here. So it would be naive of me to say that I understand that barrier or that friction that you've experienced.
Yeah.
So is there any way that you could kind of verbalize what that's like? Being in a male dominated environment such as like a law firm, especially starting, you already have the insecurities of being the new
Hmm.
person. You're starting this double life essentially.
Yeah.
Moving on, you dropped everything, you're this new person now. What comes along with that of being like a woman in a male dominated society essentially,
Yeah.
of law? What does that look like?
Um, so there's a couple different sides to it, right? There's you're in a meeting and it's all men and you're the one they look at to take the notes because you're the woman, right? You're she's the secretary. She's the assistant. She's the one who will take the notes. So I had to, like when I would go into meetings, I would normally take, like, I have my normal little steno, like my little tiny notepad.
Sure.
And I would take that with me because that's where I write down my phone messages, whatever, that's where I keep track of it. And so I would go into meetings looking like a legal assistant because I've got the notepad and I'm ready to, you know, start taking notes for everybody. And then it'd be like, oh, well, Stacey, can you just type up those notes and circulate them? Yeah, there was always, it's just, sorry, something popped up on my screen. Why is this coming up now? So there's that type, right? There's the pressure, do I, for a younger woman, like if I have kids, if I get married, how is this going to impact my career? How do I, navigate talking to the managing partner about maternity leave, for example, right? What do I do with my client? What happens if my kids are sick? It's always like the woman is the one in society who is still expected to be the caregiver, right?
Mhm.
Because we're still expected to be the homemaker. We're still expected to be the ones that make the dinner and clean the house and all of that stuff. So there's that part of it. And then there's the other parts of it, which is I need to fit in. I need to fit in with these guys who are guys, right? They're frat boys. They're, rich. They're privileged, some of them. And, you know, they talk shit and
Yeah.
they tell stupid, offensive jokes or like they say stuff. And I'm just like I'm right here. I appreciate that woman's pretty or whatever, but dude, I'm right here. So there's developing that thick skin that you just gotta let this stuff slide off you. Um, I've done like mediations, big settlement meetings, and it's been all men and me. And the response that I get from the other side of the table is, before we start, I just want to say your nails are beautiful. Really? Like that's what you've got? That's what you're gonna say? Or, pat me on the knee and say, it's okay, little lady. Let me talk to the judge for you. I'm like, no, actually, no.
Damn.
To full on um sexual harassment.
It wasn't
So
until this conversation that I feel like I really understood that a little bit better, because it you said something just about like the talking about the girl pretty beat thing and you being right there. It sounds like you were led into the boys locker room essentially, uh,
mm-hmm.
and treated as if you either weren't there or you're one of the guys,
Yeah.
because as men, most men will not admit this, I don't know why, but like as men, we naturally sexualize women, and we'll look at
Mm-hmm.
women and be like, all right, is she pretty or is she not pretty? Do I have a
Yep.
chance? Do I not have a chance? And then you will throw out like these little innocent flirts that are just right by the line, but you can't call us on it because we didn't overtly do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's these little things like that that kind of almost belittle women to put you in your place, essentially.
Yes. Yes.
Like from our perspective.
Yep.
Um, but the reason why we do it is because we have this need to be the top dog in the
Yep.
room type thing. And so I've witnessed it not in law but in other industries to where you see women that they have to bark back. And when
Mm-hmm.
women bark back in a room full of men, immediately you're called a
You're a
bitch.
bitch.
That's yeah, you're a bitch, or you need to get laid, or you're a
Mm-hmm.
lesbian,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
or
that time of the month.
yeah, or yep, that was the other one. Yeah,
Yep.
so it's like, how do you get past that to just be accepted as a badass attorney? I don't know how you can accomplish that unless it's just years of track record of proof of like, you've set boundaries and you have evidence to show that you are who you are. How do you get through that time period of going through all of that?
You need a thick skin. Like, I have to remember when I left home, most of the people, I didn't have girlfriends. And if I did, they were biker chicks. They were, they were in the group with the group that I was with. So it just sort of, for me, it was, I don't care what you say, really. But, but that's on the outside. But on the inside, yeah, you feel that you're less. You feel that you're not as smart. Um, you start to question your own abilities and you start to question your value. And sometimes as women, we won't talk back and we don't speak up because, man, it's just easier, or, that's my boss and I guess I shouldn't. When, no, you probably should.
Yeah, it's sorry, I was pouring some water.
No, that's
I
okay.
Yeah, so one of my really close friends is in the military. She's a Marine,
Mm,
and you don't fuck with this chick. Like, she makes it
no.
very clear, but I'm really glad that you said something. You said, you have to have this thick skin, but that's on the outside,
Hmm.
because I've seen her thick skin. It's a suit of armor. She has to put it on, go to work, and then I've been there when she's like came back and had to take it off. And
Yeah.
and that's just a different person that only you and maybe a couple people get to see, but only you know the depths of it. Um,
Yeah.
so not a lot of people are willing to admit that. That takes a lot of courage and strength to even just like have that thought of it being a possibility, as like an external coping device.
Yeah. Like, how do you not cry if, like, I had to do a CLE, like a continuing legal education presentation here, and there were a couple of lawyers, and they really pushed back hard and sort of and challenged me. And I remember sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, they think I'm stupid. I must be wrong. How can I go through with this? What am I going to say? How do I get out of this? And how do I not cry in front of a group of 20 people?"
Mhm.
I didn't cry, but it was really tough. Um, but like, we question. I think that just overall, women are more prone to accept the fault as theirs, if that's the right way to say it. Or not the fault, but it's just, maybe I'm not right. I mean, maybe we're more prone to questioning, or maybe it was just me. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's different. It's just different. And most women actually, most women go in house, so they work in public sector in law, and you don't get too many female litigators, and you don't get too many female partnerships are growing, and it's really grown here. But when I became a partner, there was only three of us who were female and about over 20 men who were partners. So, but it is changing. It is really changing. But still, more women leave law than men, and more women end up in-house because the pressure's a lot less.
So I got a question, and I guess there's has to be an obvious precursor. Do you do litigation work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yep.
have you ever experienced an instance to where you felt like you were sexualized or like belittled or almost taken advantage of because you were a woman in the court? Like, by not necessarily, I can't see a judge. Well, yeah,
No.
but do you
No.
know what I'm getting at? Like in that realm
Mm-hmm.
of questioning, have you ever experienced that in the actual courtroom?
Not in the courtroom.
Okay.
No. Not in the courtroom. No. Not in the courtroom.
Okay, that's good to hear because
Yeah.
I have a feeling that if I asked that question to 10 female attorneys in this country, it'd probably be a couple different answers than that. But
It might be. Yeah.
but yeah, definitely gonna be. You said something else that it's been bothering me. So not what you said bothered me, but so my fiance's a ICU RN, so she's a nurse, and she
Oh.
deals with people that have dealt with surgeries. So
Mm-hmm.
she's got like the worst of the worst. Like if you were in a drunk driving car accident, a shooting, something crazy like that, and you wake up 2 weeks later, you're in her department. And
Yeah.
so she deals with very, very ill people. And every now and then I'll get a text before she comes home of we have like this little code system of colors,
Mm-hmm.
of like where we're at. Like we
Yeah.
don't expect each other to have 50% and to make 100. That doesn't exist. You can't always bring that much to the table. But so we've came up with a system of colors, so that way like I know what to expect when she comes home as far as mood wise. I at least have some sort of realm of where she's at mentally, so I know to either give more support or just leave her be alone or whatever it is. And I've been getting these red ones.
Mm.
And then it takes a while for her to talk, and she loses people, and it affects her. Like she'll take the same
Yeah.
person for like 2-3 days in a row. They only work like 3 shifts a week, 3 to 4 shifts a week, but they're doing 12 to 16 hour shifts. And so how do you handle loss and the responsibility of knowing that you're a representative of somebody else's justice and in some cases their future, depending on what type of law is being practiced right then. But how do you handle that pressure, and the loss that goes along with that?
First of all, the fact that she's in healthcare today, thank more like congratulations to her for being able to handle it, because our healthcare system and what the nurses have been through here is just unbelievable. I
Yeah.
could never work in those conditions. But that's a tough question.
Do you
Because what is loss,
compartmentalize it?
right? Sometimes.
Okay.
Yep. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll go home and I have just had a bad day and I just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
And other times, I hate when my clients die. That's terrible. Some of my cases are fatalities and they're so sad. Some of them are really horrible accidents. I've had some sexual assault cases, which were just horrific. My job, the way I see it, is to help people move on to the next chapter in their life. In a way, that's sort of the way I look at it. So, I can only get them money. I can't get them health. Just money. That's it. Sometimes I get them a lot of money. Sometimes I don't, for various reasons. And at the end of the day, I give the clients back their power to make decisions in their life again, to look at, yes, this has happened to me. Yes, I can't go back to working in this job, for example, but now I'm going to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it.
Like that's the only way I can look at it because um, our system is so imperfect. Like, how do you compensate a parent whose child was run over by a drunk driver?
Mhm. You can't.
Like you can't.
Yeah.
Or like I had this one guy, he's a young guy. There were two passengers in the car, him and a woman. They both got thrown from the vehicle. They weren't wearing their seatbelts. He impaled a tree. She had a severe brain injury, but there's only $1 million and an insurance limit, and he got a couple 100,000, and she got like 800 grand. That's all the money there was. And this was a guy who, shouldn't have gone back to work, who's, got a ton of complications and whose case alone was worth probably, 3, 4, $5 million. But
Mhm.
the other girl's in a wheelchair with a severe brain injury and her case is worth over 20 million. So she got 800 grand and he got 200. But it's not fair.
God.
But there's nothing I can like, so my hands are kind of tied that way. Whereas compared to this other woman, um, I love this. She was lovely. Early 70s, no seatbelt, disobeyed the traffic sign, which said right turn only, just going across the street. What could happen? So of course somebody comes around a blind corner who was speeding, hits her, she's quadriplegic. When I settled her case, got her a ton of money, millions. Um, she was the happiest she's ever been in her entire life. And I said, I don't understand. Like you can't scratch your nose, you can't brush your teeth. She goes, yeah, but now I have enough money that I can go and I can do whatever I want and I can travel and I can live wherever I want. And I never have to worry about making ends meet again. So for her, she was ecstatic. So my world is a strange world.
Yeah,
And I'm still friends with her.
that's awesome.
Yep. I have clients who I still keep in touch with and who I am still friends with because you get so closely involved for anywhere from 3 to 5 years, roughly, with their personal lives that at least I do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm collaborative and actually tomorrow I'm speaking at our conference and it was one of the worst clients I've ever had. She was great with me, but she was terrible with the treatment team to the point where she would wait for the personal support worker to come to clean her up. So she would soil herself. She would throw it on the walls. She was always drunk. She was, mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. It's like I'm 60 years old and I just shit my pants.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to sit here in it now and wait for you to come and clean me. Or yeah, she was terrible. And so we're doing a whole thing tomorrow about how to strategies to deal with people like this.
Yeah.
Very difficult clients and not take it personally, but it's so hard. And my clients some of them get really mad at me too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about taking things personal, but I'm very curious if you've kind of third personed your life and looked at it from this perspective of it seems like to me life is like a mountain and you have to climb up it, but there's all these levels and stuff to get to the top, and there's a huge famine mentality of once you get to the top you want to push everybody else down, being afraid of people getting to your level. To whereas the people that I've ran into and experienced firsthand that are true leaders and genuine people, they'll turn around and extend their hand to help you get up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It sort of feels like you wouldn't be here if you didn't run away at 15 because you used those experiences to develop that thick skin that gave you an advantage against the people that were in the same room as you, and you could almost probably spot their fake skin and see through them. But aside from that, you're able to empathize with your clients because you have been there, and then try to make them whole again to kind of, in a way, bring them up to, bring them up a level of
Yep.
their own personal mountain. So for you to be willing to do that and be doing it for the right reasons is amazing. And I feel like somebody
Thank
needs to
you.
tell you that, because it's
Thank
very
you. I
commendable.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's very commendable. But along with that is, how do you not take things personally? Because for me, for example, if I see a younger, like a 10-year-old boy, and his dad's being a dick to me, like I have to stop myself from inserting myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I can see myself in that kid, and I'm just like, all right, like, that's not
Don't get
me. This
involved.
isn't my story, like, don't make this about me. How do you do that?
I've come to the conclusion that other people's opinions of me do not define how I move about and see myself in my world.
Can you unpack that a little bit? Let me know what exactly
Yeah.
does that mean?
So we all move through life and we let other people's opinions of us impact us, right? We live in fear of other people's judgment. We live in fear of their opinions. We take it to heart. And I think over the years, and I want to just make a note because I want to come back to it. Over the years, and it's really only been probably more recently, over the past couple of years, is that I've come to terms with that. You may not think I'm smart. You may not think I'm a good speaker. You may not think I'm the best litigation trial lawyer in the world. Why does that matter to me? Why does what you think of me impact how I see myself in my world? If I'm confident enough in who I am, and which means that I have a solid set of values and beliefs about the person I am, then why does it matter to me what you think of me? It shouldn't.
It sounds so easy.
I know, but you know how hard it is?
That's essentially like pointing to a mile or pointing to a mountain 20 miles away and be like, oh, all you got to do is walk up to the top of that mountain.
Yep.
It's a hard thing.
It is hard. It's really hard. But when I was not living at home, one of the things that I did, I spent a lot of time living inside my head. So I'd be in situations that I knew were bad and I didn't want to be in. And so I would get very quiet. I wouldn't talk. I would just live inside myself. And I became really aware of how I was feeling, how I was thinking, where I saw myself going. And somehow that just turned into this ability now to be able to be very self-aware. But it's really been over the past couple of years, I think, that it's all sort of come together, where now I can actually sit and say, I really don't care what you think about me. Like, it really doesn't matter to me, because I know I'm the type of person who does, if I say I'm going to do it, I do it, right? I'm the type of person who I've moved off of creating my identity based on external factors. And now it just comes from, this is who I believe I am. And that's it.
From my perspective, and kind of like going down like my mental checklist of things that I would like to have accomplished, it feels like, and I don't mean, like how much property I want and things like that, but I mean like real shit that actually matters, like growing confidence in who I am, losing insecurities, like not being afraid of inaction, you know,
Hmm.
and just doing things. Showing up is a huge thing, but it seems like you've checked off quite a few boxes to where you know who you are. You're extremely confident. You're clearly very good at your job. You have close relationships. You have a family. You
Yep.
have extended relationships that go all the way to your client list, which is amazing because that's not the norm.
No.
It's normally you're just another folder, you know, like once the case is closed, you don't hear from that attorney again.
Right.
You have probably surpassed what you thought you'd be able to do by becoming partner, and now you're at this large law firm. You're a huge litigator. You've checked all the boxes. What's next? Like, I know I want to get into the silverback thing, but
Yes.
what else do you have that you need to overcome? Or are you happy with where you're at now? Because I feel like a lot of people, they're always building the next thing, and myself definitely included, but I never get a chance to just sit and realize what I've accomplished and where I am and who I am and be grateful for being at this place on the mountain. So have you gotten to that point, and is that why you're going to this next silverback expedition? Or
Um,
do you still have things to do?
I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference.
Hmm.
That's what I want to do.
Do you have an avenue of how
I
you're
think
going to
it'll,
do that?
I see that in speaking and sharing my story and sharing what I've learned over the years and how I've taken what I've learned to be a better person and helping other people. Like I said at the beginning, the one thing that, like, to think that there could be someone out there who just thinks that they're stuck here today and they have no choice.
Hmm.
And now you have to live the rest of your life. What the hell?
Yeah.
No, no. And for me, I find the attraction is more to women who are in their midlife, who maybe their kids are grown and they've moved out and they're now looking around going, like, I'm 50 and this is it for me.
Hmm.
Ma'am, you've got another 30, 35 years. What are you doing? This is
Yeah.
the most exciting time of your life, right? Or women you're divorced and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. Um, those are the people that I just look at them and I think, oh. And it probably comes from me reflecting back and thinking, what if I didn't? What if I didn't take the steps that I took? What if I didn't listen to Tony Robbins when I did? What if I didn't, have this, I'm coming through the wall, whether you like it or not, I'm going to get this done attitude? What if I didn't? Where would I
Hmm.
be? And how many other people are in that exact same spot?
A lot.
Exactly.
A lot. Yeah.
Exactly.
You brought up Tony Robbins, and that's a good segue into this next portion to where I feel like so all right. So as a man who grew up without a father, I have always felt like this gap of just, like, who do I call when shit goes south? Like, I don't have that person. And so for me, I've watched YouTube videos and I found people that I could look up to if I were to be around them physically, and like see
Hmm.
things that they do in their life and things that I agree with and like how they handle situations. And like I follow a couple people, um and that led me down the path to find out that some of these people also have like coaching and mentoring groups.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my undergrad that I found out what a mentor was. And I can't speak for women, but as a man, having a mentor is like holding the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory when you don't have to go into the fight alone. So
Yeah.
if I could implore you to hit the gas on that, I feel like there are more than enough women um, that could use your guidance. So just
Yeah.
having, and it's, yeah, I can see how that would be your avenue to make change because it's not you and sitting in a library or at a computer, like researching, trying to like figure out world starvation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yep.
you have a pyramid of even 20 women, now you're an army. And
Yep.
then you can make one move and have backup with them. And then all the industries that they're in as well can all converge to be able to do one big thing. So I I gotta see this happen. I really do, because I know I wouldn't be your target demographic. Um, but
But it
even
happens to men too.
it does, it definitely does. I feel like, yeah, for me personally, I would prefer to have like a male role
Yeah.
model
No,
type
of course.
thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like women would be the same way, especially like with comfort levels and things like
Yeah.
that, having like personal meetings. But I got to see this happen because I've drawn inspiration from you, and
You
we
will.
barely know each other, like realistically.
I know.
Um, but I've been able to draw so much inspiration from you
Oh, thank
that it's
you.
helped me get through even just the simple law school application process. It's a big chunk of my life. These little talks that we've had has had impact on it. So I can only imagine if that was your main focus of
Yeah.
helping out 20, 50, 100, whatever women, not only as like a source of income or anything, because that's not a
It's not about
priority.
the money.
Yeah.
Like,
The
it's not. It's really not for me at
yeah.
all.
So
Not that I couldn't use it, but
sure.
it's not for me. It's not about, oh, this is a new career. Oh, this is how I can make more money. That's not what this is about.
Mhm.
Not at all. It's just about making a difference. And
Yeah.
it's funny, you asked me about my law school interview, and they asked me a question about law, and I can't remember exactly what the question was, but I remembered my answer, and it was, a lot of people go into law school thinking that they're going to change the world. I just want to change the world one person at a time.
Mhm.
And that was it. And that's the same thing. Like, it's not about the money. It's not about the fame or the likes or the this or that. It's just, I just feel that's the right thing to do for me.
Yeah, no, your story is, I know your story gets a lot deeper. There's certain like little pockets that we've brushed over. One that comes to mind is we briefly brought up like suicidal thoughts on
Yeah,
our last talk, and those are conversations that I try not to have like on a camera or anything like that, because I feel like things like that, they belong in that time and place in that space,
yeah.
and they're meant to be left there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so for you to have those conversations with, a woman that may be going through the same things, you could save her life.
I could.
Legitimately, you could save
Yeah.
her life. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing. Um, you've had this amazing career. It even you are kind of admitting that like you've checked off all the boxes, and it's not necessarily time to move on to the next thing, but you're in this really good spot right now to where you get to go have a little bit of fun.
I
And
do.
so
Yeah.
when the cameras came on and we started talking, you were telling me about this huge trip that you're on. So how does this get brought up? What are you doing? I
I'm
feel like you named like
insane.
3 different continents. I don't remember them all.
Mm-hmm. I know. I
But
know.
all right, tell me about
What am
this.
I doing?
What did
Okay.
you do? What is Stacey doing?
Stacey's I am Dora the Explorer. That's
Good for
who I am.
you. You
Like, if
should
I had,
be.
yeah, I should be. So, like, I will see an abandoned building and take my camera and off I go. And I'm in it and I'm taking pictures and I'm checking it out. Like, I love, I love exploring. We went for a bike ride on Sunday, and there was like a gravel path towards the railroad tracks. Let's go up there. Let's see where we go. Next thing you know, I'm at like the Fort Erie Railway Museum that looks like an old abandoned building with a bunch of squatters living there. So I love exploring. And about 9, 10 years ago, a friend of mine told me that he did a safari in Africa. He was telling me about it. And I love animals. Oh my gosh. Um, so I thought it was fascinating. I said, you know what? One day I will go. And then he said, the one thing he didn't get to do was to track the silverback gorillas. So for 9 years, I've been planning this trip, and I fly out on the 29th to Amsterdam for 6 days. Then we fly to Nairobi in Kenya. And then we spend a couple days there, and then we fly out to the savannah, to the Masai Mara. Then we tent, of all things. Do I look like someone who wants to be tenting? Probably not.
No,
but,
not
no.
you don't.
But yeah, it'll be great. But I will be tenting where I've been told that when you go to use the washroom, that you need to check around the toilet bowl just in case some of the big snakes have wrapped themselves around the bottom of it. And I'm like,
that sounds
lovely.
That sounds like fun. Sure.
That sounds fun. So then after we do the safari, then we're going to fly to Rwanda, and we are going to spend 2 days in the rainforest tracking silverback gorillas. And when you find them, you get about 5 feet away from them, and you get to hang out with them for about an hour and a half. And the number one rule is they can touch you, but you can't touch them.
Wait, pause. Pause. No. First off, no. You don't. No. You're not a human. Okay. So I've been to the zoo, right?
Yep.
Every time I go to the zoo and I see a silverback, I swear to God, they look at you in your eyes and they're telling you this is fucked up.
It is fucked up.
They're
looking
in a cage. And, they're like, why are you out there and I'm in here? Why don't you come in here and see what happens?
Yeah, I'm coming in.
So now, you're deep in there. You're getting to so close to where they can physically touch you. Do you not have a fear of them doing more than just reaching out and touching you? Because if they want, you now belong to them.
I suppose. I've talked to people who have gone and made it back alive. Apparently, now,
God, I love you.
I know it. It's the babies. So if there's babies in the group, sometimes the babies will come over and like they groom each other, right? So like they're picking bugs and stuff out of their hair and whatever. So sometimes, yes, the babies will come over because they're not used to you. So I'm sure there's more rules than, it's kind of like a stripper, right? They can touch you, but you can't touch them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Is silverback gorillas are just like strippers.
Right. Yeah. You see, sometimes I do things like this, and I don't necessarily. I do it, and I don't necessarily always think it through. Which I suppose if I really did, I might be like, oh, am I really doing this? But no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no.
They have people there, like they have trainers, like not trainers, trackers and guides, and they have guns. I wouldn't do anything to provoke them. And I'm sure there's more rules than that, but I have a GoPro. I've got the headgear. I've got my safari hat, and I'm gonna slap it right here. And I'm going to just go. And people say this is a life-changing trip. That's what I've heard. So the pictures, oh my gosh. So one of the places we're staying at is called the Art. And it's got a great big watering hole, and there's an alarm that you can set in your room. So when the animals come at night to the watering hole, your alarm goes off. And then you go down to the bunker, which is right along the edge of the watering hole. So you're literally like eye level with these animals who are all there drinking and the salt blocks and everything else. And you're there with them. I'm going to get the best pictures. It's going to be fabulous. But more importantly, my belief is you get what you look for. And like I said, I've heard from so many people that this is what you see and what you experience can be life changing. And that's exactly what I'm expecting to get out of this.
That's amazing. Like one of my favorite things to do is to fall out of airplanes. So I
No,
understand like the
mm-mm, mm-mm.
craziness.
No, don't
Wait,
do
you'll go
that.
next to a
You can
gorilla?
die.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's amazing to hear that you have that perspective of like laughing at you could die, because I
Hmm.
always think, well, what is living without that fear? Like if you
Yeah,
can't go do something that makes you think like, should I be doing this? If you don't have those stories in your life, it's probably a pretty boring life.
yeah,
It's these trips that I feel like that are going to be so drastically changing for you,
yeah.
that it's going to you're going to learn something
I
that you're
am.
going to be able to pass on to one of the women that you mentor in the future. uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I
I
cannot
think,
wait to see your Instagram when you get
think,
back and
yeah.
get on the internet and post all those
Oh,
pictures. It sounds like
God.
it's going to be amazing.
It's gonna be super awesome. It is. It's gonna be amazing. And I really, really, really think um my goal out of the trip, aside from just all the fun and the stuff, is that let's see where it takes me next,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's
Let's
like my,
let's
my
see
Tarzan
where this is
theory.
gonna take me next. Yeah, maybe I'll meet Tarzan. Not like the
Yeah,
1960s Tarzan.
yeah.
Okay, because he's really old now. I don't want that. But you never know.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
it's
you
it's
never
like you're
know.
following like last time we spoke, I spoke about the Tarzan theory of just grabbing the next vine,
Yeah,
seeing where life takes you. And so you could end up like helping them out legally somehow, or like helping endangered species within the area, or
yeah.
who knows, but until you put
Hmm.
your feet where your mouth are and actually starts taking steps to make things happen, you'll never
It
really
doesn't
know.
happen.
Yeah,
No,
it
and I'm
doesn't happen.
sure I'll be terrified. Let's be honest, okay? It's easy to laugh about it sitting in my nice, my office, looking around. I'm sure that because I don't like spiders. I'm not worried about the gorillas, but I'm terrified of the spiders. But it'll be. I'm sure it'll be fine, and I'm sure that there will be moments where I'm like, oh my god, what is happening?
Hmm.
But that's
And
okay.
those are going to be your favorite moments, though.
They are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the moments that really make you question things.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's over, you're just like, "Oh my God, that was amazing! I want more."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's really cool that you're doing that,
So
and that
cool.
you're going to be able to like help more people just with the lessons that you're going to learn that you don't even know what they are yet. Uh,
Exactly.
which, yeah,
Yep.
that's amazing. So I know we've been
And it's
talking for a
been
little bit.
9 years in the making. But like I said, you know what? When I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
Oh, yeah, I have learned that about you.
It may take
Definitely.
10 years, it may take 25 years to get to be a lawyer. But if I say I'm going to do it, I will do it.
Yeah. No, that is one thing that I've learned about you that is definitely a fact. So
I don't
so
know where it comes from.
I will back you on that 100%. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know we've been talking for a while, so kind of get you out of here in a minute. I'm just trying to come up with a way to vocalize this, because so normally when I check like my DMs, it's like a lot of guys and like has stuff to do with like fighting, or like since I do work with nutrition, it's like
Hmm.
fighters and things like that. But after your episode came out, I had a couple girls reach out, and
Oh,
it was just like it was strange, like
yeah.
what is this? And a lot of it seemed to do with insecurities, not feeling like they're good enough to do this, and like they've gone down the same path of like being homeless at 16, and just that whole facet of life that not a lot of people want to even acknowledge exists, or if they do acknowledge it, they're less than immediately. So I guess to close this out, is there, and you can take as long as you want to answer this, and I haven't even figured out how I'm going to finish it yet, but what would you say to the 15-year-old version of yourself to be able to get you to this point? Or what would you say to someone else to kind of guide them to get through that dark period of their life that they're living in right now, to let them know that it does get better? Because anybody can say it. You've actually gone out and done it, and you have the proof. You're sitting in the office right now as evidence that it does get better and you can be who you want to be. But when you're in that cloud, in that dark storm, it doesn't seem possible. So what would you say to somebody that's going through that right now that wants to follow your path?
That is a really good question.
Well,
That's okay. Leaving circumstances aside, right? Because, the environment that you're in, or like all of the external factors, right? Leaving that aside, and I don't minimize that because that's huge,
sure.
but there's always a way out. There is always a way out. It may not be an easy way out, but one, you have to have unwavering belief, first of all, that there is a way out. You may not know what it is right now, okay? But it will change. But you have to have that belief first. If you start off with the mindset that, this is where I am and my life is shit and I've got no opportunity and I've got this, I don't have this and I don't have that, that's what you see. That's the energy and what you attract into your life, which will be nothing, right? You'll attract more obstacles. You'll attract more problems. But when you start from the position where you just say, there is a way out and I will find it, your mind, sorry, the sun's coming in, your mind, and it starts working differently. It starts seeing things differently. It starts looking for ways out. And they may not come to you. You may not recognize them right away. So that's the first thing. And the second thing would be is you have to look at the narrative that you're telling yourself about yourself. What's your story? What do you tell yourself about yourself? And where does that story come from? Because if I believe everything that everybody told me or called me or said about me when I was younger, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
That's
because,
huge.
right? So for me, it was just, and it just took a lot. It wasn't, to be honest with you, the sun's coming in, it's getting my eyes. Hold on. The hard part about it is not accepting what other people think of you and portray you as your own, because it's not. It's not. You might think it is, but that's not who you are. We start off as children and we have no values. We have no beliefs. We have nothing. We're just a blank slate. And then we have our parents, our teachers, our friends, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, whatever it is. And all of their values and beliefs, as well as stereotypical cultural expectations, all get piled on you, and that's who you become. But is that really who you are? So you've got to really look at yourself and figure out, whose story are you telling yourself? And I'll bet you it's not yours. It's a story that you've made up that's come from all of these other different sources. And then you gotta figure it out from there. But there's always a way out, and you have to believe that. If you don't believe that, you will never see the way out. All you will see is obstacles.
It took me probably 35 years to learn that the voice in my head isn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
So you bringing that up, I feel like is the perfect the perfect answer for that question, because that's not something that's individualized. I feel like we all do that.
We
Um,
do.
and then you were talking, essentially, what I got from it is manifesting your own future. You know,
Very much so. Yeah.
okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that's kind of we were on the same track there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because once you believe there's a way out, then you start to imagine, well, what if I wasn't here? Where would
mhm.
I be? And once you start to think about your future self, then it's like, okay, so how would I feel if I wasn't living on the street and I had my own apartment, right? How would I stand? How would I walk? How would I, how would I feel inside about me? It changes things. It really does, especially when you get really good at looking into the future and seeing who you could be. But you can't get to that point until A, you accept with no doubt that you will get there and start being really critical of the story that you're telling yourself about who you really are,
Yeah.
not the labels that people put on you. That's
You know,
why is the sun dark? Sorry. Let me close this. Hold on. Now I've got these suns in my eyes. Sorry.
no, you're good.
I should have done this sooner. Um, yeah. So it's really about, you've got to start from you have to believe this is not it for you. This is not all there is for you in life. Without a doubt, without a question.
So one last question. I know I've said that probably twice already, and then I'll let you go. How long did it take you to realize that truth? Because you're not going to get away and bullshit me and say you knew that at age 16,
No.
because that's just
Mm-mm.
that's a lie. So
No.
when did you pick this up and actually believe it? That's the other part, because it's hard to believe it too.
Mm, mm, I want to say within the past 5 years, 10 years, maybe.
Really?
Even still, look, even, I was going to say between you and I, but clearly, no. Um, the, we develop patterns and we carry those patterns with us throughout our lives as we move from phase to phase. And you see these people who, even, and myself included, who, and this actually goes back to sort of the search for belonging. And situations change. Maybe you leave a bad situation and then you go into a new situation, but that new situation isn't what you imagined it to be. And you've still got all these old feelings and all of this baggage that is still with you. And you think, well, this new marriage isn't working out for me. So obviously he's not the guy or she's not the girl for me. I'm going to go move on to somebody else, when maybe you're the person that needs to be fixed first. And so it's taken me a long time sort of to come to terms with that there's, even now, there's still stuff. There's still baggage that's there that is not helpful for me, that I'm still learning how to let go of and overcome.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's having the skills to do it.
Yeah. I don't think it ever ends.
No.
Yeah, I unfortunately I don't think so. I mean, if it does, and like you, at one point you feel like you've become perfect, like shoot me a text and like I'll let you know you're not. But
Thank you.
but yeah, no, it's hearing your story and kind of becoming friends with you over these past couple months and just chatting, and now this talk has been amazing, and I really hope that somebody out there hears this at the right time.
I
Um,
hope so.
from my perspective, it kind of feels like you're a Tony Robbins type figure in the making. Um, you're definitely living the life. You're living proof that things can change. And now it seems like you're kind of getting into your experience phase of life.
Yeah.
You're going out and you're just gaining more chapters for the book that you want to read to your audience, essentially.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that offensively by any means.
No, God, no. No, no, not at all.
Yeah, so it's been really exciting to get to know you,
Oh,
to
thank
hear
you. You
your
too.
stories, and now to look forward to seeing you hold a baby or just the
Oh my
silverback.
gosh.
Come on, like if I see
Come
you
on.
holding a baby silverback gorilla, like I may shit myself. Like it would be the coolest picture you could possibly
Right?
take, but I would
Oh,
be terrified of
yeah.
something coming out of the weeds. Yeah, that's
You'll see him come. Somebody will see him coming. I kind of really hope it happens, but I kind of don't, but I kind of
yeah,
really do.
yeah. No, I get
I'll be
exactly.
kind of disappointed. Like, I'm the one who'll be there like going, come here, baby, come here, come here. Like, that'll be me.
Yeah,
I saw a herd. There was three cows, three adult cows, and three baby cows. I'm like, off the bike, grab the weeds. I'm there. Like, I'm at the farmer's fence calling the babies over because I just want to, and then the mom's like, oh, shit. Okay.
just please, for the love of God, don't become one of those tourists that get caught taking selfies with like buffalo and like they get stomped or something like that. Like,
No, no, that won't be me.
yeah,
Oh, you know what I found? Obviously, you don't because I haven't told you.
right.
Um, we went into New York and decided to go to Attica, of all places. Why not? Check it out. It's
Okay.
a huge, awful prison. It's a crazy prison with the walls around it and stuff. Um, I was going to Ellicottville. Apparently, I don't pronounce it right. Probably pronounced like a Canadian. Anyways, so we were going there. I took some back roads and I found the Attica graveyard, the Attica inmate graveyard.
Jesus Christ, Stacey. Sometimes you just got to leave shit alone.
No, 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 no. So I stopped it. I got out and I saw the sign. I'll check it out. So I walked down this path in the forest, and all of a sudden this clearing just appeared, and there were all of these old grave headstones, and there must have been a couple hundred of them, and they were almost all of them just had numbers. The prisoner number. It was really creepy.
So there's no names at all, just
No,
government issued prison numbers.
yeah, there was a few that had names, and all the rest were numbers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, isn't that creepy?
That's
Super creepy. I know.
I didn't even
So I
know
took a
that
bunch of pictures and
existed.
I left. I know. Just driving along some back road because I didn't feel
Yeah.
like taking the highways. And yeah, all of a sudden here's the inmate burial grounds. I wonder who's here.
God, you are
Told you.
amazing.
I am Dora the Explorer. I'm sure I was that in some past life. I don't know, but
Yeah.
no, seriously. Yeah, so it'll be awesome. The trip's going to be great. I'm going to have all kinds of pictures to share with you, and yeah.
Yeah. All
Then
right.
on to the next chapter. I think I know where that'll be. I think we
Yeah.
both know where that'll be, and
Yep.
I think the trip's going to really be enlightening.
Yeah.
But again, that's what I'm asking for, right? That's what I
And,
want. That's what I want out of it.
and humbling. That's going to
Yeah.
be, yeah,
And humbling.
very humbling. But
Yes.
yeah.
I don't want big spiders, and I don't want snakes wrapped around my toilet bowl,
Yeah.
but I want everything else that comes with it.
What are you more afraid of, the spiders or flopping on stage?
Oh, spiders, man.
Oh,
Spiders.
really? Okay. All right. Well,
I'm
all
not going
right.
to flop on stage. Because you can fluff that. You can flop and nobody knows it.
But
Sort of.
you'll know it.
Yeah, and then I'll be merrily mad at myself for
Yeah.
not being prepared.
Yeah, that is a big part of it, is being prepared. But it
Yeah,
definitely seems like no matter what, you're gonna wing it. If you're not prepared, you're still gonna do it. So who cares, right? Send that shit. That's kind
yeah,
of
exactly.
that's
No
how
one's going to know I messed it up on stage but me,
yeah. No, I love
right?
that about you. Yeah.
No one's going to know but me. And then I'll beat myself up about it for not being prepared, not thinking about this and not thinking about that. And oh my gosh, did I really sound that stupid? I think I really sounded stupid. I don't want to watch this because I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself.
Who cares?
Oh, who cares?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, get out of here. And again, this has been amazing.
Anytime.
I know we're going to talk again.
Yeah. And you know what? If any people reach out to you and they want to get in touch with me, you can, like, I'm on Instagram, send me a message, at Stacey Lynne.
At Stacey Lynne? Okay.
Let me just double check it because I think there's a underscore in there. Yeah, Stacey _ LYNNES.
All right. Yeah. And I'll put that in the show notes below so they can just go directly to your page. But please never stop taking those back roads and coming up with stories. These stories it's gonna while they may be just like a little 15-minute blip in your head, that's gonna save somebody someday because we both know where you're going. It seems pretty obvious to me. So just keep doing you. You too. You do great stuff. I try. I don't know how great it is, but I try. So
you know what? At the end of the day, that's all we can do. Yeah. Right? That's all we can do. And keep those applications going.
Oh yeah, no, I'm putting out like 20 some of them just in case I get a whole lot of no's. I'm preparing for it, but yeah.
Why don't you apply here?
Because I have a DUI. I can't even come to Canada. Yeah.
Really?
Technically, I could get some paperwork filled out to have like special permission to come in, and I like it's been like over 7 years, so I may be able to like apply for expungement and things like that. But I don't know. I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about it. It's just that hurdle isn't something that I've actually looked into too much. But I will say, however, I've thought about it on the basis of if I get 100% no's, and I'm 100% going to look into the possibility.
Why not?
Coming up there, and because shit's going
could
crazy
be fun
here.
Oh yeah, shit's going crazy there.
Yeah, I don't even want to bring it up because it's
that's a hot topic.
Speak like I'm not even saying like Republican, Democrat, but the whole fact that we only have 2 to pick from, and one can't speak, and the other one says grab him by the pussy. It just, what are we doing? It doesn't make sense. Right? It doesn't make sense to me. But what do I know? I'm just some dumbass law school applicant. So
exactly.
All right.
We can't all be president, Rob. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what I'll do someday. Maybe I'll just be president. But
why not?
Yeah, right. So all right. Well, I will get you out of here before
my friend.
We start talking about politics, and I know nothing about Canadian politics, so can't do that. But,
that's okay. Ours isn't much better either.
Yeah. Well, if you ever just want to like shit talk America, shoot me a text. I'm always down for
it. All right. Okay. Fun, so. All right. Next time.
It's been amazing talking to you, catching up, hearing your
so much fun,
and hearing everything coming up. I'm really excited to see your Instagram blow up. So.
Yep. You will.
Until next time.
Okay. Until next time, my friend.
It's been great. Thanks for coming.
Okay. All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
See ya.